Okay, we have the green bars, we have the live counters ticking up, so it should now be live, which of course means welcome back to the Storytime Network. We no longer live in a popeless world.
Yep.
Oh,
Since he's
yeah.
from Chicago, do you think we're going to get more deep dish pizzas in Italy?
There might actually be a holy war over this subject. It's very much a old world versus new world sort of crusade might occur.
Deus Vult and all that, yeah.
God, it would be so... It's not going to happen, but it would be so funny if the next Catholic schism happened over pizza.
Speak.
And whether classic Italian or deep dish is superior.
Mm.
I mean, I did see a meme about him replacing. I mean, I guess the fucking communion wafers with deep dish pizza.
See, that's just inefficient.
It's inefficient, but it is hilarious.
Well, no, I guess if you just have one big pizza and give everyone like a little bite of it, but even then, it's like you'd have to like cut it vertically too, so not everyone would be getting toppings. What would they even put on the toppings?
It depends on who's serving. If they feel like going like pepperoni, vegetarian, meat lovers.
You know what? They'd probably. You know what they could do? They could swap the tomato sauce for a wine sauce, so they can get the blood and flesh in one bite.
Mm.
Nice, nice.
So,
I mean, the thing with deep dish pizza, the thing that most people actually like it for, beyond it being very doughy, is it can have a lot of fucking toppings on it.
I mean,
that is true.
Which toppings are which pieces of the body of Christ? Is the question.
No, so the thing is, the body of Christ is just the bread is supposed to symbolize the body of Christ in its entirety, or rather, be the body of Christ in its entirety.
Yeah, but if you're gonna have toppings on it, you might as well theorize.
I mean, we all know what part the pepperoni is gonna be.
I mean, I don't know. I was honestly thinking.
So the sauce is obviously the blood.
Yes, the sauce is the blood. I was thinking the pepperoni could be the nipples, honestly.
Let's say the pepperoni is the muscles. Let's say the pepperoni is the muscles.
Are you forgetting that pepperoni pre-sliced comes in a very cylindrical form?
Yeah, but there's other forms of sausage that also go on a pizza. Unless you're saying, and I can't believe I'm about to say the sentence, Jesus' dick was spicy.
Can you prove that it wasn't?
No.
Well, there you go.
Not unless you want me to die, go to heaven, and try and give Jesus a blowy.
I don't think that would be... I do believe you would be turned down if you offered, but not necessarily sent to hell.
It would be unfair for me to be sent to hell just for offering.
Also, you would probably be far from the first or last person to do it. Or to, ask. Yes?
So I know we were going to start with a different topic, and then we just went straight into the Pope.
That's not
yes.
my topic, right? Y'all are the ones who decided to get religious with it.
I mean, it's true. We no longer live in a popeless world.
That is very true. At least the conclave didn't take too long.
So
it was a fairly quick conclave.
I mean, it sounds from the way I think it was CBS described it. That's probably a good thing, considering they described the Conclave as the Cardinals raw dogging it in terms of their technological devices.
That was hilarious, yes.
So, if we want to just sidestep the topic of religion that would undoubtedly make many people angry if we had an audience. So I know y'all give me a lot of flack for reading Chinese web novels, like, voraciously.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're all trash. But I do occasionally find the old Sturgeon's Law proof.
Yeah, no, Sturgeon's Law is a pretty well demonstrated, especially in web novels.
Yeah, so what
Honestly,
I
it might be a
found...
bit too generous.
No, Sturgeon's
Right,
Law is
sometimes.
absolutely too generous in terms of web novels, but I found a very interesting web novel.
Uh-huh.
So you know how a lot of brain-dead fans tend to call out for a ruthlessly efficient and pragmatic protagonist who always makes the optimal decision in every given situation?
Uh-huh.
They are a vocal majority of every fandom.
They are annoying, yes.
So I found a web novel that's a very interesting take on that and the general path of ruthlessness / heartlessness. In that... What's... Okay, one moment, please. Dog.
Imperial soldier took a lot of arrows to go down. I kept shooting him, but apparently all I was doing was hitting his horse, which I don't think was true. I was trying not to kill his horse. Not because I want the horse, just, you know, I didn't want to kill the horse.
Yeah, that's fair.
Now to see if I got away with it. By the fact that this guard is running towards me, I'm going to say no.
It's all over, lawbreaker.
No, definitely not.
Then pay. I fought mud crabs more fearsome than you.
Ew.
So yeah, basically the
I'm just warming up. You
the protag is very like cautious and like tries to optimize everything and like, you know, does the standard thing of like not showing mercy, murdering surrendered enemies, that sort of thing. Here's the caveat though. He's like a genuinely good person who will actively go out of his way at significant personal cost to himself to help people, but it's just that his standards for people to help are considerably higher. In the sense that, because remember, it's a Shansha novel, which means it's a cultivation world where everything can grow into godhood and wants to kill you.
Yep.
So he does not go out of his way. He always offers to help, and he always like is a team player. It's just that when people do the classic attitude of, no, we know better because we're lawful stupid, he always is like, well, have fun, and then they die. So, okay, this is... Oh, I remember what I was thinking. He is an example of a well-executed, lawful good protagonist.
Okay.
Like, he manages to, like, be lawful good without ever crossing the line into lawful stupid.
That is definitely a positive.
No, it occur. The reason I bring it up is because finding a protagonist who is
be of assistance.
on the good aligned part of the spectrum is already hard enough in the modern
So,
era,
pirate has been pleased
let alone
accept this
lawful good that's executed well.
I'm glad. We need you to stage an, as I expected.
Because, like,
Good. On the second floor is a
I've talked about this
Listen those
before, but there's been an
fastenings any night.
increasing
If the villain is
trend
eliminated in any
of protagonists being more in the chaotic neutral to lawful evil camp. And I think this is a bit less relevant to you guys because, okay, so you guys actually practice good taste and like quality control when you consume media, right?
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah, for the most part. Remember that
Well,
I still read
I-
fan fiction.
Okay, yes, Mill counts a bit less for this.
No, I also
But-
count a bit less for this because I don't always quality control. I'm watching like anime and stuff.
Okay, but like, I think because you guys are more selective and you just have less time on your hands and or choose media that require more time, y'all have a much smaller sample size than I do.
That's fair.
And the reason I think that's relevant is because when you're looking at like cultural zeitgeist and media trends for tropes, you need to dive into the muck as well. Like, there are entire generations of the youths who are raised on almost entirely on web novels.
Those poor
And
souls.
that- So you can't even say that anymore because when it becomes the majority, then, like, they are the next generation of writers, and when they have been exposed to, like, all this low-quality, low-effort crap, they will, in turn, produce more of the same. And it is
I love how
worrying to me.
influence works.
No, I know, but like it's worrying to me, and I'm curious as to when it'll stabilize. Because usually, it goes in a certain sequence. The sequence of influence to oversaturation to anti-meta / counterculture, which then becomes the new influence, and so on and so forth. So we are sadly in the oversaturation phase. Or rather, we are in the generation prior to the oversaturation phase, I believe. Because, like, a lot of younger Zoomers, and definitely most of Gen Alpha, are gonna grow up on slop. And so they're gonna produce slop, and then there's gonna be so much slop that eventually there are gonna be people who grow tired of it and trying to actually do something quality. But, like, the sad reality is, I do believe, like, the well thought, or the well-structured, properly edited novel is approaching a phase of near extinction.
Well, yeah, because people don't fucking read anymore. Because, and I think you'll agree with me on this one, Jack, a lot of America is becoming, you know, illiterate.
Mm-hmm.
That actually brings me into another point, actually. That's a great segue. American literacy rates are obviously decreasing because, well, we all know the reasons why.
Mhm.
It's a fundamentally anti-intellectual state. And unfortunately, anti-intellectualism and illiteracy seem to be a bipartisan issue.
Not necessarily. Like, there's a much stronger anti-intellectual leaning on the right than the left.
Which side is stronger, but like neither side is particularly innocent of this. But anyway,
I mean,
that aside,
I'm more worried about it from the aspect of, people letting AI bots do all of their thinking and writing.
Yeah, no, there's been a lot of talk about I've seen a lot of talk about students just like skimping on actually doing work on their homework and just having an AI do it for them. Which,
it's absolutely going to lead to a crash in global intelligence levels. However, well, there's a caveat to that. Something I've noticed, and this is just anecdotal evidence, I don't actually have like this solid data to back this up, but I do remember I do read literally hundreds of novels a year.
You are kind of an outlier in terms of media consumption, yeah.
Yes, I am the novel reader, Georg.
Yes.
Yeah, so I would, and when I say hundreds of novels, I don't mean like multiple, like 6 or 12 book series. I mean multiple individual series, regardless of the number of books they have. So the thing I've noticed is that there has been a significant increase in the number of English language authors who are not from a country where English is the first language. And that's the point I was going to bring up, is that while literacy rates are decreasing in America, they are still steady to increasing in other parts of the world, especially the developing world, in the global south. And because web novels are free for the most part, it has become a much more popular source of entertainment in areas where people, especially the youths, have little to no disposable income. So what you're essentially getting is an entire generation of people in the global south who have, because again, the people in the global south are all people. Yes. They have no less chance of being a great author than anyone else. But in the past, where they would often have to, they would often write in their native language and maybe not get an audience or have much mass appeal, due to increasing English literacy rates across the world, you have authors who would previously have been left by the wayside actually reaching a larger audience because they are releasing English language web novels.
That sounds good.
It is good, but it's still a very developing field, and so you run into... So usually these authors will preface it with the fact that, hey, English isn't my first language, so bear with me. But there are times when it does make readability difficult.
Oof. Yeah.
Like often, and it's to the point where, you know how the Americans and just North Americans in general already don't know how to read, but they know how to write even less?
Yeah.
I'm talking that level of quality.
Right.
Except instead of being willful ignorance, it's more just circumstance, because English isn't their first language and they don't necessarily have a reliable way of like
Learning it.
improving their language skills or getting like feedback for that. But it has led to, and another thing I've noticed is the translation groups that remain are usually not from North America. So you have a situation where basically the parts of the world which does not speak English as a first language is actually picking up the slack for the world of English literature. Which is a good thing overall, but because it's in its developing phase still, there are still issues, as I said, with readability, with ingrained cultural biases, the general lower skill floor of authors, because there's a lot more amateurs who have never actually, like, who don't necessarily know what goes into good writing. So it's like, it's a mixed bag, but I do believe, like, there will eventually be a renaissance in English literature, I believe, that is led by serialized web novels and things. And I think it's quite similar to, because remember, for the longest time, fiction was serialized. Yes.
Yeah, good old serial novels.
Yeah, it was inherent.
Fuzzy?
Yeah, so, it was inherent to the genre. So, what web novels are is essentially a return to that. And serialized stuff was literally what gave us pulp. So so in this essay, I will explain how web novels are the 21st century's pulp fiction.
That movie also is really fucking good, by the way.
Okay, the movie is good, but like, you know what I mean by pulp fiction. Like, you are aware of the original meaning of the term before Tarantino.
Yes, I know what it means, but the movie is great, and I had to say it.
And I had to be
Well,
for
yeah.
the assumed pun.
But like, also, he licks feet, so.
Look, just because the movie is great doesn't mean he's, like, the most charming of individuals.
I mean, here's the thing, Fuzzy. To me, it sounds like the sort of progression on from, well, not even the progression on from, it is, you know, another stage in, you know, this rise of, as you said, freely published media that most likely got its, certainly I would say its popularity with fanfiction.
Fanfiction was a big component of it, but you also have to remember that fanfiction is, like, very old. Like, the rise of fanfiction in the modern day is a branch of the rise of web publishing in general. I don't think you can necessarily say one came from the other.
But my point is that we, you know, have had fanfiction certainly readily available for everyone to see for more than 20 years now.
Yeah, I would say that
we've even had authors who have gotten their starts in the fanfiction world. I mean, Jack and I, you know, have read The Locked Tomb, whose author Tamsin Muir is very, you know, very knowledgeable about fan fiction and its associated tropes.
Mm-hmm.
To a honestly humorous degree. Has a portion in one of her books where like there are like imagined AUs with the main couple.
It's hilarious.
And it is
it's
the most
such
like
a great sequence.
most stereotypical AUs you can think of.
Including a coffee shop AU, unsurprisingly.
Yeah.
Ah, yes, the good old Toxic Yuri AUs.
The AUs had nothing to do with it being Toxic Yuri, but yes.
Yeah, but you have to admit that Toxic Yuri tends to get a disproportionately higher amount of AUs.
But yes,
yeah, so it's
my point is that I can understand, you know, your worries, but I don't think it's overall anything too massive to worry about in terms of quality.
Yeah, it's one of those things that's like, okay, so here's an interesting topic on ethics. Can we establish that one of the worst things to come from stuff like ChatGPT is the conflation of LLMs and AI?
If you're here to rob me, please.
I mean,
employ
ChatGPT and
barely
the
a week
other
ago,
bullshit,
the goblins
yes.
must have those wretched.
So what I mean is that
I'll kill them in
AI
their greed.
is a blanket term that has a lot of applications other than large language models,
Yes, you are correct in
like
that regard.
ChatGPT. Like, you know, the protein folding AI.
Yes.
All of the
okay,
yeah.
So generally what we talk about when we say, you know, AI and complain about AI is
is the large language models.
yes, the generative AI, I believe, is
To a certain extent, yeah, but like what I'm trying to say is I'm mad that a term that means a lot of different things, or that like encompasses a lot of different subjects, has been claimed by the tech bros.
yeah.
But like, there is an application of LLMs that I'd like to discuss the ethics of with you guys.
Okay.
Translation.
No.
I do have like a rational argument for this, Mel.
It's gonna have to be incredibly good.
There's more media that has the potential to become media has the potential to become lost the less widespread it is, and a lot of local media that is like in a specific language that is not English tends to have like very low spread. And I'm just going like the cold hard fact of the numbers is that like there are not enough, even if every single translator in the world was hired to work on like the same library of projects, they would literally die before they finish. There is just there's just a massive mismatch between the amount of media that needs to be translated and the amount of people who are capable of translating, because for a human being to learn translation requires learning multiple languages, and that's an endeavor that requires like more time, effort, and skill than just is available in the global population, especially under the yokes of capitalism.
I understand
It
your
is
rationale,
literally,
but
it's literally humanly impossible to actually translate every work that should be translated. Go on. Sorry, that was my closing statement.
I understand, but I don't think you're taking into consideration... I don't know. It just feels... I missed this door. How did I miss this door? I walked into this room. I mean, the issue is, A, we live in this hellscape of a capitalist society, and you know the exact second that companies think they can actually get away with using machine translation properly, they will do it, and they will fire all of their translators. Which, you know, not good. Like to avoid that.
I have some bad news for you, Mel. That kind of already happened like 5-10 years ago. Because corporations don't really have translators anymore. They've been using machine translation even like before large language models came up. Like like Google Translate was essentially what most companies have been using for like a decade now. So that train has sailed.
I mean, that's still bad.
It is still bad, but after a certain point, you're gonna have to realize that, like, there's not much incentive to become a translator. It's like, it's overall, and oftentimes it is an inefficient use of a human being's time. Jack, what's your take on this? You've been a bit quiet throughout this entire thing.
I think it's a case of, like, while I get the desire to ensure as much things get translated as humanly possible, there's also just a case of there is an art to translation that most machines cannot really match, and you're almost guaranteed to get sloppy bullshit coming from any translated thing that comes out via machine translation. Like, even the best machine translation software is going to have some serious flaws in its programming that prevent it from, deciphering context and such, and figuring out how to actually, implement context clues in order to decide on, hey, maybe instead of translating the word this way, I should translate it this way. That does kind of necessitate a human touch. Not to mention, there is also just the case of, while I get what you're arguing with it being a quote-unquote waste of a person's time to be a full-time translator, I don't really agree. Like, people can can pursue any reasonable career they want, honestly. There's nothing inherently wrong with that.
No, I'm not saying I'm not saying waste of time in the sense that it's a waste of time morally. I'm saying, or objective waste of time. I'm saying that the vast majority of people have things they want to do more than translation work. It's one of those things that's a relatively niche hobby that does not represent a significant portion of the population.
I think that's disrespectful to professional translators to characterize it that way, honestly. Because, like, there are people who genuinely make their career out of it, particularly in diplomatic contexts.
See, now we're getting into the weeds, because there's a difference between an in-person translator and a translator of media.
There is also the case to be made of a lot of major texts, including textbooks, including works of literature, including movies, that also get translated on a regular basis for mass consumption. And I would prefer to have professional translators working on that rather than, you know, fucking computers that don't know shit.
Obviously, so, okay, I do have a caveat here, but I was gonna say, obviously, like, again, the issue you're running into is that you are referring to the more... God, I wish I was more articulate, because I don't know what the word... I can't think of the word for this right now. So, for example, textbooks, cultural text, film and television, these are all mass media, mass appeal things that can afford to hire translators. They're the high end. What I am referring to is more the low to mid end, like the grassroots level of, like, people that cannot do that.
I mean, I even think that most, like, say, dumbass Steam visual novels, for example, deserve to have a proper translation by an actual human being who cares.
So I am never arguing that they deserve that. We need to get that sorted out. All media, I believe, well, most media, we know the ones I'm talking about that don't deserve anything, but most media does deserve to have that human touch applied to it. But we are not talking about whether or not it deserves it, we are talking about whether or not it happens. And the answer in the vast majority of those cases is no.
See, I'm not arguing that it does or doesn't happen. I'm arguing of the... not practicality or realism of it. I'm arguing of, like, I think that it is optimal for everything to get a proper translation.
Yeah, it's also optimal for healthcare to be socialized and for there to be universal basic income, but we don't live in that society.
Don't fucking remind me.
Yeah, so, like, that's the
I live
thing.
in the worst country for that.
No, you are talking about the ideal case. I am talking about what is practical under the yokes of capitalism. Not even practical, just possible. Like, that's the cold hard truth, is that, like, the translators that can make a career out of it are the 1%, essentially. In the sense of they are the vast, vast minority of people who do the translation work. And the people who do translation work are themselves a heavy minority of just professionals in general.
Fuzzy, what would you characterize as the majority of professionals?
Mostly people who work under the yoke of capitalism.
That's very vague.
So, like, I'm talking, like...
Are you talking, like, blue-collar versus white-collar jobs?
I'm saying what I mean by the majority of professionals is blue and white-collar workers.
I mean, I work a white-collar job.
Yes, I know. You are a professional who is part of the majority. It's like, I would say, so, okay. If I had to define a majority professional, it's basically someone who, okay, so this is difficult to define, but just like, for the sake of simplicity, let's say people who work blue-collar jobs and white-collar jobs make up the majority of professionals, and there's a lot of there are jobs in that gray area. So like freelancers and people like translators, things like that, who make up like the minority, in my mind.
Do you know how to define a white-collar job?
Working fixed hours for an employer.
White-collar workers include per Wikipedia, job paths related to government, consulting, academia, accountancy, business and executive management, customer support, design, economics, science, technology, engineering, market research, finance, human resources, operations, research, marketing, public relations, real estate, information technology, networking, law, healthcare, architecture, and research and development. Blue-collar workers perform manual labor or work in skilled trades. Pink-collar work in care, healthcare, social work, or teaching. Green-collar are environmental sector, and gray-collar are manual labor and skilled trades or with non-manual or managerial duties.
I didn't know there were collars other than white and blue.
Yeah, it's not a common. I knew about pink-collar ones. They're called pink-collar because they are quote-unquote traditionally feminine, like, you know, nursing or teaching. I didn't know about green or gray collar. However, translating based off of what it says on here, I believe translating is a white collar job.
I would actually, so it's interesting to me that they have such a clear divide between teaching and academia.
Oh, I think it's specifically teaching non secondary education.
Right, so 1 through 12.
Yeah, 1 through 12 and such.
Then I need to refine my category further, because, like, okay, would you say that where would you classify freelancers?
Depends on what the trade they're working.
Let's say
what kind of job a person isn't like in terms of like color. It's not.
No, I mean, like, so, like, there is a distinction between regular white-collar workers and white-collar freelancers, yes?
Yes, but that's just salaried versus freelance.
I admit I may be working off of antiquated information.
So think of it like an x-axis versus a y-axis, or more like fuck, whatever.
No, I can see the graph. Don't worry, I can see the graph.
Table with an x and a y-axis. Where,
yeah, I can see the Punnett square, Jack.
Yes, as a
I took
square, really.
biology.
Yes. Anyways, yeah, freelance, self-employed, or salaried. That's a different category versus like the different color of the collars.
Okay, so here is what. Okay, what category, in the sense of like academia or literature or whatever, what category would you classify translation as?
Well, it can be a number of things. It depends on the application of the translation. So,
Let's
for
broadly
example,
call it communications.
Yeah, it's probably communications is probably the best like broad umbrella.
Yeah. Because most professional media jobs also fall under communications, and translation is a media job inherently. And by media, I don't mean the news media. I mean media as in the plural of medium.
Yes.
Right? So, like, whether it's like social communications or like film and television, books, fiction, nonfiction, news, all that sort of thing can be broadly put under the umbrella of communications.
More or less, yes.
Now, so let me ask you a question. Just, you don't need to give me hard data, though I am actually, I'm sure hard data does exist. If I could be bothered to like go on JSTOR or Google Scholar or my university library client to look for it, I'm sure I could find it. What percentage of communications workers do you think translators make up?
Communications is such a massive fucking field. Is a thing.
Okay, let's just divide by category. Movies. What percentage of people working in the film industry do you think are translators?
I want to say probably about. I can't even guess, honestly. It's
So,
not
okay, go
exactly
ahead.
easy to surmise based off the information I have.
Well, are you familiar with how mass media translation works?
Vaguely.
It's actually quite similar to how web novel translation works, funnily enough. Generally, there are dedicated companies that handle translation. And given the nature of the film industry, there's only a few old established companies that do that and not really anyone else. And those established companies generally have like a dedicated team on staff and a variable number of freelancers as contractors. If I had to guess, to be generous, there's probably as many translation companies as there are major film distributors. So I'm talking like Fox, Warner Brothers, Paramount, those things.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be surprising if each of these distributors just has its own in-house translation company to cut costs. Given that, I cannot imagine the number of translators in the film industry exceeds triple digits. And if you go by the sheer number of people in the film industry, because remember that films take a lot of people working behind the scenes. Like, a lot of people. You can probably reasonably say that the number of translators in the film industry is small enough that, depending on your significant digits, you can chalk it up to rounding error. And again, I'm not attempting to disparage translators by saying this. It's a valuable skill set. I'm just saying it's a skill set that it seems is relatively niche. There's a lot of those, right? Being niche does not make a skill worse. In fact, being niche is often an indicator that a skill is like more intensive or difficult to learn and practice. But translation does fall into that niche category. So that is what I'm trying to say, is that it is essentially a numbers game, and the numbers just do not pan out.
I think the issue here is, Fuzzy, we're arguing from a quality perspective and you're arguing from a quantities perspective. You're willing to sacrifice the potential quality to get as many of these works translated as possible, despite the fact that in translating it via, AI, you may in fact be losing what makes the work special to begin with.
So, yes and no. I would argue that, well, obviously in an ideal world, neither quality nor quantity would be sacrificed. But in the world we live in, I do believe they are both necessary. To a certain extent. And trying to figure out how to phrase this. Due to the way that the new media landscape is developing, pursuing quality will inevitably lead to a pretty significant chunk of lost media.
Is it lost media though? It still exists in its original language.
So that is the thing I was saying, is that oftentimes what translation does is that if it is removed in its original language, oftentimes the translations will still exist out there. Whereas with a lot of, especially with the rise of like, fascism, autocratic governments, and censorship, you do get a lot of media in their native language that, if they cross certain lines, are just removed outright. And if they only exist in their native language, because different, even assuming the entire world shifts into full-on autocracy, because different regions and cultures have different censorship guidelines, you will viably find that what is censored in one place is not necessarily censored in another, and as a result, that form of media can continue existing. And I'm mostly concerned with, like, independent media, right? Like, there's a reason, this is actually, okay, I have a thought. This is somewhat related to the ethics of piracy as well. Because there are media that have only been preserved because they were preserved through piracy. And to me, this is a similar bag. I think we can drop this topic because I think I understand.
It's just
that
not a comfortable topic, if I'm being honest.
Okay, let's pivot to psychoanalysis. Why is it not comfortable? I can understand a lot of things about this topic, a lot of things to say about this topic, but uncomfortable is actually not the one that came to mind. Why would you? Why do you phrase it specifically as an uncomfortable topic, Jack?
I would say it's an uncomfortable topic specifically because it's... how to phrase this? Specifically because it's... While it's not your intent, and it's not the intent of where you're bringing the topic, it does have a lot of implications of devaluing the work of those who, you know, do translation the regular way, or rather the manual way, I guess.
Manual, it would be manual. It's just yeah.
But yeah, it is basically, in a nutshell, a case of it's uncomfortable because it's a whole, oh yeah, machines placing humanity type thing.
Yeah, okay, I can understand that. I do hope you understand that my intention is never to devalue the people who do translation manually. I still think they are the superior option.
I don't disagree with you on that. I'm just saying my case on that front.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, go ahead.
I mean, from my perspective, it's more about how you're considering the, you know, rise of fascism worldwide and the inevitable, you know, loss of, let's be honest, more progressive media will require, you know, translation and that sort of stuff, which, you know, is quite a depressing topic, not gonna lie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, I can see why this is a topic. I guess this is just, like, one of those things that I personally like to, like, do think about, whereas different people have different, like, ways of approaching those depressing topics. Yeah, it's very unusual for me to be the optimist and y'all to be the pessimists in a given conversation. Have you noticed this?
I'm not trying to be a pessimist here.
That was you being an optimist?
Yes. At least my practice of optimism is generally the idea of assume everything is going to go as badly as possible and then try and make the best out of it.
Not 100% sure that's optimism.
Definitionally, I don't think it is.
Yeah, but I don't think it's, like, strictly speaking, pessimism either, is it?
No, I don't think that's pessimism either.
It's a form of
Strictly
pessimism.
speaking,
It's
yeah.
a form of pessimism. Because you're still assuming that everything's gonna go wrong.
Yeah. I'm just saying, definitionally, it's not strictly speaking pessimism.
Listen, technical optimism is the best kind of optimism.
Is it? Is it really?
But yeah, so yeah, that's my general feel for it, is that, like, I'm like, because, like, I'm the type of person who has a number of plans for both the possibility of a third world war and also the general global proliferation of fascism. So I do tend to think more about this than I think y'all do.
Probably.
I'll actually bring something up, but it's not an appropriate topic for on stream. But I will bring something up to that regard in a minute. But or after stream. But yeah, I think the primary... So the primary reason you're uncomfortable then is that it's just, like, depressing and you don't want to think about it necessarily?
It's a depressing topic, yeah, and also just, like... It's also a case of just, like, how do we, actually, go about thinking about this? Because, like, it's one of those things that there's no real 100% good approach to it.
I do not disagree with you there.
So, on a different topic,
Yes, please,
in my
yes,
Civ
I have no idea
playthrough,
what to
I
do.
am actively suffering from success because I keep recruiting great persons, and I don't have anything to do with them, because I don't have enough space to put their great works.
So many fucking great admirals. So many great admirals that I do not give a shit about.
I got a shit ton of great writers, and I don't have enough amphitheaters for all of them.
Do you know what would be the funniest thing, though? At
What?
least you don't have a bunch of great admirals as a landlocked civ.
God, that would suck.
I still remember the
It would be
fucking...
very funny.
I still remember the fucking, what was it, the TFS, like, four-person multiplayer, where, what was it, I think it was Norway, got all pissy with HBI for not having boats, and just like, we're on the same continent, I don't need boats to murder you! Why are you going to attack me for my lack of boats, when a lack of boats is not going to stop my army from running rampage over you?
It's very funny, yes. Civ's such a funny game, honestly.
It really is.
I mean, I imagine, Jack, you're doing the same thing I did a little while ago of, oh yeah, Civ is a fun game. I'll go back to it, just play a game, and it's 7 hours later, and all I've been doing is playing this game.
Yeah, no, I wound up playing 6 hours with only, like, a brief break to use the bathroom and watch an anime on, I think it was Tuesday night.
Yeah.
It's absolutely fucking mental.
Yeah, I came across, like, somebody playing Civ and was like, yeah, I remember Civ. Civ was fun. I'll play a game of Civ. And yeah, like, 6-8 hours later, oh, hey, I've been playing this the entire time. I've finished the game. I've won.
12 hours later.
I've won. I've had to destroy, at least 2 Civs. I've dropped nukes on other ones. Great. We're doing well.
I actually do make a goal of not going for the military victory if I can help it.
I don't go for the military victory. I'm forced into it because people will not stop fucking attacking me.
Understandable.
I would prefer to be a science and culture civ. But no, fucking, like Bismarck and somebody whose name I can't remember and is like...
And Gandhi, don't forget Gandhi.
My issue with
currently
Gandhi
I am
is
like...
My issue with Gandhi is not that he attacks me. My issue with Gandhi is that on the game that I've played that included him, he didn't fucking take care of the barbarians that were right outside his fucking land and kept fucking traversing the seas to attack me as well.
They're like... I think there's like 2 barbarian villages left in my playthrough, and we're like midway through the 1800s. Oh no, there's like 3 or 4. Fucking hell. They're all in the remote parts, though. Because no one's fucking bothered going out there, and they just are fucking cockroaching it. And I'm on the opposite side of the map, because so, like, all the barbarian villages left except for one are on, like, the far north part of the map. And I'm mostly confined to, like, the southern stretches of the map.
So, me and Jack were actually talking about this the other day over Hitman, is that, I feel like, at least personally speaking, the the military route is relatively underpowered.
Yeah, no, I think that's nerfed to prevent you from being too bloodthirsty. Because otherwise, yeah, it's just like... It's just too much. It's just too much power in the hands of
Well, what
maniacs.
we were talking about is that, like, while it's not a realistic game, it's like an abstraction. The abstractions that they use for the way that combat and the military stuff works is less effective than the abstractions used for the culture and science and faith stuff.
I mean, part of that's just a case of they need
To greet you.
the way that you produce military units is just like it takes too long
Time now.
to make them.
Well, I mean, the point is, if you are not, you know, if you're producing military units, you're not producing any other kinds of units. You know, builders, specifically, or other settlers or anything like that. So yes, you're building up your military, but if you do it at the wrong time, you know, your city is going to keep expanding. You aren't going to have, you know, the resources to handle the expansion. You're only going to have, you know, 1 or 2 cities because, you know, you haven't been able to make settlers. Everyone's going to be pissed off, and hey, it's great that you got all these you know, military units, but hey, and especially if you wait too long. Also, if you're not building anything, you're not getting, you know, like science or, well, basically science, and therefore, you know, you can't progress your military units, which means that, you know, yes, you've got all these military units, but your science-loving neighbor has basically, you know, built these giant walls that your fucking knights on horses with pointy sticks can't get through, and it's just chucking rocks at you.
Yeah, in a nutshell, it's just like it's suboptimal, basically.
I mean, that's the thing, you know, even when I do get attacked, yes, I will, you know, depending on how badly I outnumber the person, I will generally just, you know, take out all of their attacking units, maybe one of their cities, because, you know, obviously the computer has a very bad habit of settling right next to your border and then getting pissy about it. Oh, you should stop settling next to me. No, I didn't do that. You did that, and I'm going to take your city as a result when you inevitably attack me.
I am very lucky that this playthrough I am not dealing with stupid enemy AIs that are hyper-aggressive. However,
Yes, I'm sensing a butt there.
the barbarians are a pain in the fucking ass.
Yeah. Well, like I
They
said...
do be like that.
Like I said, I had that fucking playthrough where I was on the eastern coast of my continent, Gandhi was on the western coast of his, there was just, like, a not particularly large sea between us, and it got to the point where barbarians just kept fucking sailing over and landing on my shores and attacking my people and my cities, because Gandhi couldn't fucking take care of his own lands. Piece of shit. I believe I made him pay for that. I can't remember exactly, though.
That's not ominous at all.
I make people pay a lot in my Civ games.
That was another thing we were talking about while we were talking Civ on Tuesday, I believe it was. Is one of the reasons that I'm not super, like... It's not that I don't want to play, but one of the reasons I'd prefer to have, like, some sort of guardrails or general handicaps for my if we ever play Civ, is Mill. I say this out of love. You don't seem to know how to go easy.
No, Mill is merciless.
I am a very, very competitive person. I totally understand that this is a personality flaw at times. And yes,
You don't know how to go easy. At all.
And yes, if I am put in a competitive situation, I will try to win.
Yes, I'm aware.
Like I said, I understand that it can be a personality flaw at times. Not always, just sometimes. Wow, that goblin had a bad time.
But yeah, basically what I'm saying is, unless we have some guardrails, I am pretty sure you're just gonna, like, murder me horribly. Like, I will be strangled in the cradle, was my exact verbiage.
I mean, here's the other thing, is that, the times that we have done a Civ game, we have generally agreed that we aren't going to attack each other.
A gentleman's agreement, unless someone decides to break it for whatever fucking reason.
Yeah. If nothing else, because it's just not very entertaining. Watching player characters go to war with each other. I mean, it's not very entertaining watching player characters go to war with computers either. But, you know, they don't give you a choice. I mean, I remember I remember the first one we did. Like, the three of us ended up on the same continent with, like, two of the computers, and then, like, another two of them fucking ended up on a continent alone. And I think it was, Jadwiga of Poland, who basically just took over that continent and, like, got so far ahead.
Which is fucking wild,
so far ahead of us, because she had nobody to compete with in terms of resources, in terms of space. You know, we all had quite small empires as a result.
Yeah, I can see how that could be an issue.
Just, like, super unhinged.
Yeah, I'm kind of just... I'm more saying, like, even in terms of, like, the non-combat stuff, I would probably be struggling the whole time.
No, that's completely fair.
I mean, if it's just the three of us, I mean, what I could potentially do is do what I think Gen did in our second game, which is not actually try and win, just try and do some funny bullshit with a, you know, Civ leader haven't previously used.
Yeah, I feel like that would be the way to handle it. Though, again, I'm not trying to force y'all into anything. I'm just like, sometimes you gotta, like,
I can understand. I absolutely understand that I can be a bit much.
Oh no, it's not you specifically. I'm pretty sure I'd have issues with, like, regardless. So it's absolutely not uniquely you problem. Is what I'm trying to say. Like, it's an issue with, like, basically everyone in our friend group does have, like, a bit of a competitive streak, shall we say.
Not inaccurate.
Yes, my competitive streak can be seen most in the Fate campaign I'm currently playing in, which is, you know, D&D that you can win, and I have taken that and run with it.
Go on.
Well, I mean, my character is incredibly... It's so... You are familiar with with Fate Fuzzy. I'm guessing vaguely.
Give me a quick refresher.
So basically, this is based on Fate Apocrypha, which is usually in like a Holy Grail war. 7 servants will be summoned, and they'll, those 7 will compete with each other. In Apocrypha, it ends up being 2 teams of 7 against each other, and then once one side is wholly wiped out, the team aspect of it falls apart, and everyone starts attacking each other, sort of thing. So that's basically what we did. The 7 of us players were on a team, and we were facing the other side. With, I believe, funnily enough, considering the timing of it all, the Pope was the leader of the other team, and we had to kill him days after he had died in real life.
It's so fucking funny.
My DM did say that he felt a little bad about killing the Pope.
Okay, I do have a somewhat unrelated question. Where the heck did y'all get 7 players for a tabletop game?
We are doing it online for the most part.
Well,
That
yeah,
makes
but
things simpler.
yes, but like where?
Even then, it is.
I don't even know 7 people, so that's why I'm like.
Well, I don't know 7 people. My friend the DM knows knows at least 7 people.
That would do it, yes.
Yeah, it is important for the DM more than anyone else to know people.
But yeah, so we are now at the. But the point is, we are level 20 characters, and we get access. We have the ability to have a noble phantasm. Mine is basically.
That seems completely... Go ahead. Sorry.
Mine is that when I go down to 0 hit points and I die, I just come back. I get to do that 3 times.
Well, that seems fair and balanced.
In fairness, other people, I'm playing as so the different servants have like different roles. So I'm playing as Archer. I am, in fact, Saika Magoichi from, Japanese history, because I'm a weeb.
Yes, we have established this.
But it means I get a gun. And I am, because, again, I'm a nerd, I'm using a revolver. But, the other characters are like fucking Berserker is Godzilla, and their noble Godzilla's noble phantasm is like fucking, turning into Godzilla.
That would do it, yes.
So wait, what's Godzilla's normal form before they hulked out?
Let me try and remember. Actually, give me a second, because the player sent a picture into a chat. Dragonborn.
Yeah, that would be the logical conclusion, I suppose.
So, yes, me getting to basically, be immortal 3 times is a bit broken, but, not necessarily.
Yeah, turning into Godzilla is a bit,
It's also hacks, yes.
We've also got, like, fucking, Actually, give me a second. I can see the notebook where I've written all these down, because I can't remember all of them off the top of my head, so give me 1 second.
Take your time.
Un segundo.
Right, okay.
Oh no! You've summoned a clan.
Thought I'd written in this book. Yes, I have. Okay. The assassin is the embodiment of the Black Plague.
You know, it's funny. This is neither the first nor the last time I've heard of a servant like that.
Ryder is Alexander Hamilton.
Did the person who made Alexander Hamilton do the whole bit?
Unfortunately, for most of the sessions that we've been playing, she has either been ill and therefore not able to really talk, or has had some personal issues and hasn't been, in the mindset to rhyme like Alexander Hamilton, or, the Lin-Manuel Miranda version of Alexander Hamilton.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, honestly.
Yes.
I'm upset on her behalf. So yeah, but the other thing is, again, because I am a competitive person and I want to win, not only do I have my Noble Phantasm, and I'm the only one who hasn't used my Noble Phantasm yet, because it, has to happen when I die, and that's a very hard thing to do, because I'm a level 20 fighter with 200 hit points.
Yeah, you are kind of beefy for that.
But, also got, like, fucking, stuff like, Second Wind, which heals. Got, a bunch of other abilities that, again, make me hard to kill. And even abilities that, once I hit 0 hit points, I can come back from that. Because the other thing is that, the DM said anytime we, defeated, another servant, basically, we would get, the person who dealt the killing blow would get an epic boon, and I've managed to kill 4 of them.
Yeah, you're kind of fucking loaded.
I'm at the point where I don't really have any useful boons left, based on the campaign. Also, I'm very lost in this cave.
But are you lost in a cave with a box of scraps?
I mean, I probably have...
Are the shadows you see on the wall your entire understanding of the world?
I don't know, I'm very much confused as to where I'm going.
But are you dazed and confused for so long it's not true?
Y'all not frickin' with Plato's allegory of the cave?
No, I was making a Led Zeppelin reference.
No, yes, I had gathered that, yes.
Okay, I'm going up. Up is good, right? Up has to be good.
Up is a very good movie, yes.
Then I end up back here again. I've been here before, and I don't want to be there. Do I? Right, I'm gonna follow my marker as to which doors I go through. 'Cause I feel like my marker knows best.
Marco knows best.
Okay. The issue is, I don't know how to get to that part of the map.
That does seem like it would be a problem, doesn't it?
Because the only ways I can go are into this right-hand portion of the map. I can't get into this portion other than the little tunnel I'm in right now. Oh! Shit, there's fucking debris in the way.
Debris also seems like it could pose some issues.
Where
So on the
is...
subject of things posing issues, was going somewhere with this, but I forgot.
Don't worry, we all forgore sometimes.
I don't know why I thought that would work. Don't know why I thought lightning would work on rocks.
To be
Because
fair,
rocks beat lasers.
there are many scenarios where lightning would, in fact, work on rocks.
I might just have to batter this shit down. Good thing I have a club.
When you're up in the club and you're partying hard.
Hey, 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 come on, come on, come on. Stupid fucking rocks. Jiggling. There we go. Okay. I think we're good. Okay, I've escaped this fucking cave.
Are you in a cave with a... No, I already did that joke.
I'm also not in the cave anymore. So the answer would be no.
Do you think Plato would be a gooner?
Oh,
I mean, he was a professional wrestler, so maybe.
Play-Doh. Okay. I thought you said Play-Doh, and I'm like, Play-Doh is an inanimate object, I thought.
That sounds like a you problem.
Also, am I the only one who's getting distracted by the yells of pain of your player character?
Remember, a lot of this is still, you know, mid-2000s voice acting, where they did not give good voice direction at all.
So, like,
Yes.
I have a question about that. What exactly is, like, the deal with, like, how exactly was the Oblivion remake made?
It's a remaster, from what I can tell.
Can you really call it a remaster if they literally ported it into an entirely different engine? That's what I'm getting at, is like, it seems like a lot more, elaborate than any, remaster has any right to be, more or less.
I mean, probably true.
Look, just because it's true doesn't mean you should say it. Etc., etc.
But it probably still does come under the banner of remaster for the most part.
Like, I can see that, definitely. I'm just like... It's one of those things where I'm like... It's such a drastic improvement over the, previous that I'm just like... I don't know if you can just call this a remaster anymore, or a remaster anymore. It's like... I can certainly see it being on the borderline, but it does not seem like just as straightforward as being a remaster anymore at this point.
I mean, what are the three categories again?
Remaster, remake, re-release, I believe.
The point is, it's definitely not a remake, because they haven't actually, like, added any new content to it. it is still, you know,
Well, a remake doesn't necessarily need to add content, does it? I thought that the thing about a remake was just was the game made again in a different form? It doesn't necessarily have any. You can have a one-for-one remake.
then what's the difference between a remake and a remaster?
We're really getting into the weeds with this one, aren't we?
Yes.
Well, no, I don't think we are, because okay. A remaster is when you take the existing game and add or like update it. A remaster is essentially a fancy patch, more or less.
Well, the thing is, like, the Mass Effect trilogy got a remaster. What you guys are playing. And that was made for a new system. That it was not...
Okay. So it is a remaster because it's essentially... So a remaster is essentially an updated port. An updated re-release. Whereas a remake does make actual, like, tangible, concrete changes. I think that's what I'm getting at with this.
I'm not necessarily
So
sure that the...
Kind of like the Pokemon games. Like, you got your remasters of the Gen 1 and 2 games, for example.
No, so those are remakes. The Pokemon games are remakes.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, a remaster is like the Mass Effect trilogy remastered.
I mean, did that remaster like change any I guess mechanics?
Not at all, from what I can tell.
The mechanics themselves were not changed. What was changed was like the graphics were updated.
To me, that's more of a remaster then.
Yes, that is a remaster.
Right.
Whereas, so a remake is twofold. Either stuff changes, the stuff that changes is either stuff like mechanics, or the stuff that changes is like, what do you call it? It's,
These poor Dremora
models,
can't take
or like
arrows
the
to
game
knee.
itself. Yes, the content of the game itself.
Yeah, these poor Dremora can't take arrows to the knee.
Rip.
Yeah, I think it's a bit ambiguous, but I do think like.
I mean, there's an element of maybe cynicism in calling stuff like this a remaster rather than a remake, because remake does imply changes. And we all know that the gaming community is not the biggest fan of changes to stuff they like.
Mm-hmm.
So by calling it a remaster, they're saying, oh, we haven't actually changed anything, when, you know, they probably have.
Yeah, they definitely have, just by virtue of what you have to do to like make something like this.
It's pretty wild, honestly.
The point is this has been, worked on since like 2021. I think they said something like that.
Sounds about right.
And apparently we are going to get remasters of, at the very least, Fallout 3. And potentially New Vegas.
I'm very interested in some of those, definitely.
I mean, what will be interesting about Fallout 3, if nothing else, is whether they make you download the game like 8 times for every language the game is in. Which is what currently happens if you download Fallout 3 from Game Pass.
Huh. Can you not just download one?
Nope. Have to download them all. I mean, I don't know whether you can uninstall those different versions after that, but, like, certainly, like, from what people have been saying... Oh, I thought you were summoned. Like, the regular version of Fallout 4 on something like, I don't know, PS3 is, like, 9 gigabytes. Or no, on Steam it's 9 gigabytes. If you download it through Game Pass, it's 43 gigabytes. Sorry, gigabytes, not megabytes.
That is both very stupid and incredibly funny.
I mean, it's peak Bethesda, really.
Yep.
And peak Microsoft.
And that is exactly as bad as it sounds. Yeah, I can definitely see how people are a bit more concerned about some of these than others. I do think Fallout New Vegas is like an incredible game, and I do hope it doesn't go poorly to an excessive degree.
I mean, fair play to them. You know, this remaster, remake, whatever you want to call it, is really fucking good. This is just Oblivion with updated graphics. It feels like Oblivion. You get to break it in the same way you could break Oblivion.
Yeah, I think that's why it kind of straddles the line, because generally, a remake sort of, like, updates, like, uses an updated port of the engine. The fact that they basically ported the entire game into UE5 is the big deal here. Like, I think a lot of people don't seem to appreciate just how significant that is. That is a lot of work.
You approach the shrine of Mafala tugs the strings of... Leave Mafala an offering...
Like, a lot of work.
Leave me alone.
Not worth it. Yeah, that's the other thing. You only get to hear these cries so often is because A, I like jumping jumping high distances, and B, I like doing that because I know it won't hurt me because I've got God mode on because I'm a, console command user.
So I do have, y'all know my thoughts on game difficulty and like that general topic, right?
Yes.
Yep.
I do sometimes find it tricky to find a balance. Because I don't... unlike what, like, it may be hard to believe, but I don't actually like playing in things like God mode. Because, like, I do like to have some degree of challenge, but I think what I want as a source of challenge is different from what a lot of people want as their source of challenge. For me, I generally want my source of challenge to be more rooted in thinking about things than like a matter of just raw mechanical skill.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Right, I want my challenge to come from how I approach and play the game rather than just the amount of like my reaction time and my ability to like do stuff quickly. Or just my ability to have like good mechanical skill. That's why I have never been a fan of like just the parry mechanic. Just the parrying as a mechanic, not because I like dislike the idea of it, but because the emphasis on the mechanical skill aspect makes it difficult for me to engage, because that is just not where my like skill set lies.
Sorry, did you say something, God? Did you call me tiresome? Do you want an arrow to the knee? Because I'll give you an arrow to the knee. Got anything else to say? Huh?
I thought you were talking to.
So tiresome.
I thought you were talking to Captain Jean-Luc Picard for a second.
Stop right there, criminal scum. Then pay with your blood. Why?
You're gonna earn all of these arrows to the knee.
Die!
If I can actually hit you in the knee. I'm mostly just hitting you in the arm.
You should have paid the fine.
Arm bars everywhere?
I got 2 in the knee.
You should have paid the fine.
You deserved that. What are you doing? What are you doing? Stop that.
No, none of that. Shame on you.
Nobody wants a fucking scamp running around. That's why you got an arrow through the spine. And, you know, out the other side. Anywho. You were saying, Fuzzy.
I've completely lost my train of thought, sorry.
I think it was about game difficulty.
Oh yeah, I basically, my eternal, like, opinion on this matter is that I don't care about, like, difficulty that comes from mechanical skill.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I want my difficulty to come from, like, having to think about how I'm going to approach something.
Hello there.
So it sounds like you are more of a fan of the sort of puzzle-based type stuff.
Well, no, in that, like, let's use a Souls game as an example. Rather than being a... Okay, Souls is a bad example because it sort of just doesn't lend itself
It's
well
Souls.
to... It's Souls, it just doesn't lend itself well necessarily to the discussion. rather than Souls, let us take the example of like an RPG. I don't want the difficulty of the RPG to come from me having to like succeed in QuickTime events. I want the difficulty of the RPG to come from how I build my character and how
The
I
accident has been staged and Bainlin lies dead. I present to you...
do my
Yes,
like
you are
how I
now
what I use to approach and attack the enemy.
back for more.
That's where I'm sort of
A prisoner
that's what I'm sort of
recently
getting at
escaped
with
from
this.
the prison just outside the Imperial. It should be easy. Vaylendreth has been imprisoned for many years. His tongue is sharp. You will receive a book.
I might have already killed this guy.
That's so
Oh.
fucking funny. I love. Oh god,
Is that
that's
good or
hilarious.
bad for you?
I mean, I can resurrect him and kill him again, but... Because he's the prisoner that's across from you in the prologue, and I'm fairly sure I console command killed him.
Oh, that's really funny. You know, in hindsight, the fact that you needed to use console commands to kill him should have probably given you.
No, it wasn't
a
that I
hint.
had to do it that way. I chose to do it that way. In
okay,
the other playthrough,
no.
I'm fairly sure I just beat him up. Or maybe that was this one. I can't remember. In one of them, I console command killed. The other one, I literally beat him to death.
Once again, this does sound like a you problem.
But yeah, so you would prefer your difficulty to come from like I guess coming up with like a loadout for specific enemies.
Yes, something along those lines. Rather than just raw mechanical skill. And you can do that to a certain extent in the Souls games. For example, you can... some bosses have weaknesses, some bosses, like, their attack patterns lend themselves more to damage than... or more to close range than long range damage, so you can get around them by just staying far away and pinging them with magic or arrows. Like, there are ways to strategize in Souls games too. It's just I tend to prefer it when that is the deciding factor rather than can you hit this button fast enough?
I mean, the issue
or can you react to this enemy fast enough?
The issue with Souls-like games is that to do that, you basically need to be, you know, speccing into, you know, a lot of different abilities. And as, you know, I think you and I showed to a certain extent when we were playing Neo on stream, that is not a particularly efficient way to go.
Yeah, that's why it's always more engaging to me to, like, be a bit more cheat-happy in terms of, like,
XP?
the
Or
XP, yeah, souls, essentially.
Yeah, whatever resource you use to
Whatever they
level up.
call their, yes, whatever they call their, resource. Because, like, generally, I just have, like, a more fun time when I have options.
Why are these?
So I'm kind of...
Why are these fish just flopping out on land?
Floppy,
Look, don't
floppy,
worry about
flop,
it, Jonah.
flop, flop, flop,
Go
flop.
in the water. Go in the water. You belong in water.
question for y'all.
Hmm? Yeah.
It is quite well established what characters sort of have served as an awakening for certain fandoms. And there's a few common names that you see all the time. However, there's one that I don't ever see brought up, and this is more just like a general question, because this is more just coming from a genuine place of not necessarily knowing.
What are we guarding? Cold stone and shadow.
The squirrel from SpongeBob. Do you think that did anything for anyone?
Those assassins
Probably.
got what they wanted.
Furries for one.
Is dead.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean, is like, you always hear about like Robin Hood or Lola Bunny, but like, you never like hear much about the SpongeBob squirrel.
That's a good question. Couldn't answer.
Yeah, it was just
I think
just curious.
I think it's maybe a case of
just who are we keeping secure? Dreth? Since that other one got away, he's the only one rotting down here.
maybe a case of age. Obviously, the whatchamacallit, the people who are watching SpongeBob tend to be younger than a lot of the other more common, you know,
Demographics.
current. Oh.
You say that, but Chippendale Rescue Rangers is my counterexample.
Am I supposed to be impressed?
Yes, you are supposed to be impressed.
I'm hoping you won't see me now. I didn't realize there would be more guards here. Excuse me.
Like, I almost think, like, to a certain extent, the younger you are, the less you, like, question it.
Sorry, I was distracted by, you know, being attacked. So... What were you saying about Chippendale?
Just the Chippendale Rescue Rangers was, like, also a pretty, significant part of a lot of people's, childhoods. Most people usually did get into it at a young age, and, well, it definitely awoke something in a lot of people.
That is... fair.
What I'm curious about is why something similar is not as talked about with SpongeBob. Also, remember that there's a lot of grown-ass dudes who love SpongeBob.
I'm not inaccurate.
So, yeah, it's not exactly
Honestly, I couldn't tell you.
Nor could I.
Look, you guys know I like to think about these things that
Yeah.
maybe I should not think about.
There's nothing wrong with thinking about things. Thinking thoughts is what we do as human beings, after all.
Well, some of us.
We think, therefore we are.
No thoughts, head empty, only vibes? Is that what you're suggesting, Fuzzy?
There are many such people, yes.
I have to admit, I'm going to miss you,
Oh,
Jeff.
he's still alive.
The late-night beatings, your pitiful little cries for help.
Boo.
Filthy cur.
I could have sworn I killed you. Or did I
Well,
resurrect?
fuck you too, man.
Did I kill you and then resurrect you?
Yeah, well, what's it been? 7
I might have done
8
that.
years? We've had a good long run, you and me. I always knew it would end someday.
11 years in this rat-infested hole. But I'm getting out, and you'll still be stuck in here.
Oh, yeah? And where will you go, huh? What will you do? You can't survive out there, Dreth. You're an animal. You belong in that cage.
I'll remember that when I'm lying on the beaches of Somerset Isle with your wife, you imperial pig.
Right. And you'll be rich, too. Oh, and...
Okay, you're just gonna go now. Did I really not shoot you through here? No. How likely is it, do you think, that I can actually do this with 6 lockpicks?
Fairly likely, actually.
I mean, you... Okay. But you use console commands. Why do you need to care about the number of lockpicks you have?
Hey, I did it! Hey, prick. Why are you walking towards me? Fuck you.
He can't hit you, if he doesn't get any closer. No.
Very true.
That's why he's approaching you.
Now, preferably, I want to try and drag him. Come on. Dragging does not work as well in this game as it does others. You know, the other Bethesda games.
Drag people. Drag people.
You know what? Easiest thing to do. Oh. They used to go flying when I did that. Oh well. Hard way it is, I guess.
Well, is the reason they no longer go flying because it's a different game, or is it because you're a different person?
Yes.
Damn it, there's a lip to the cell. Gotta raise his head a little bit to get it over that lip. Come on. Come on. Come on, you bastard. Come on, you bastard. That's it. Come on. Gonna have to pick you up by your crotch.
Of course.
That does seem to be the general pattern of the...
Okay, nearly there. Nearly there. Hopefully that guard won't, you know, remember his train of thought and come back to taunt you again. Come on.
I mean, even if he does, is that too big an issue?
Maybe not. I could just kill him, but, you know. I want this to be a confusing murder. There we go. I'm taking my arrow back, and I'm taking his clothes. So now he's dead, in his cell, without his clothes, and nobody will know why. In fact...
I feel like people will have an idea of why. In fact, I worry that this will make you seem a lot more unsavory than you are.
There we go. His cell is now locked. Who could have possibly done this?
But, like, what about the implications, though?
I didn't do anything to him. Oh. I don't particularly want to go through the rest of that again, so...
Oh, did you, What happened?
There's a door that needs a key, and I cannot be asked to fucking, you know... I'm just gonna console command it open. Because the other route is going back through the sewers, and I can't be asked doing that. Hey, buddy. Well. There we go.
Sure, it'll be fine.
Like I said, I left no evidence that I was there. Bar that one time everybody saw me, but, you know, I managed to take care of that little issue. And now nobody cares that they saw me. Which is the more
I'm
That
sure
is an important distinction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, we now have hit 2 hours, so...
Yep.
Yeah, I think we're starting to peter out a little bit as well, so I think we can safely call it a day.
Yep.
So yes, thank you everybody for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed. In terms of future stuff, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays, and Sundays, this Saturday is... Well, it would probably be a solo stream on your part, Fuzzy.
If Saturdays aren't exactly very available for me either, so it's like, I think we might need to, like, start thinking if we... Well, we'll talk about it after stream.
I mean, I don't mind doing solo streams on Saturdays, I just can't this Saturday.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
Yeah, well, we'll figure something out.
Yeah.
Uh...
But yes, otherwise, thank you again for watching. Please do give us a follow here on Twitch and all that YouTube stuff.
Like, subscribe, comment down below. Please press that bell icon.
And otherwise, hopefully we'll see you, at the very least, on Sunday. Good night.
Later.
Bye-bye.